What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 11, episode 19. We're almost at the end. We're near the end, and so this episode picks up. Whew, Lord, this episode picks up after Eva's wedding. She went on her honeymoon and went to Greece, which is where I was trying to go this summer, but it ain't working out. But it's all good. I'm gonna get to Greece, Lord willing. But that's where they went for their honeymoon. You know, they were just showing different things going on. Y'all know how they do. Old lady gang, great open. You know, that. So, we're going to go on and get Portia out the way. Portia planning her baby reveal. And it's a carnival theme. So, we're going to that's it. That's all we got from Portia. We're going to go and put her out the way. We see Marlo. We see, yeah. Marlo, Nene, and Tanya get together. They're over Marlo's house. They get together. And, honey, Marlo cannot wait to tell all this business that she got on Eva. Now, come to find out, one of Eva's bridesmaids has called Marlo. Now, why she chose to call Marlo, we don't know. I don't know if they have a prior relationship or whatever the situation is, but she called Marlo to let Marlo know that Eva is a fraud. Eva doesn't own her house. They're renting, and the house that she films in is not the same house that she lives in. And we knew it was something going on with that house because of the moving and all that other stuff. But okay, that she's broke. Michael's broke, and she spent all her money taking care of him. That their house isn't in their name because her credit is bad. Her car she got from ill-gotten gains, and they didn't had a car repossessed. What else did she say about that woman? That all her bridesmaids are mad at her from the wedding and just all of this stuff. And so, you know, Marlo even called the woman on the phone because Marlo was like, well, you don't have to hear from me. You don't have to believe me. Listen to what, you got to listen to what she has to say. And they never identified who the woman was, but she basically said this and then some. So Tanya and Nene, you know, so they were kind of just like, oh my goodness. You know, at first they were kind of like, girl, you know, whatever. But when Marlo put the other person on the phone, it was kind of like, ugh. So they decided that it would be best that Nene needs to talk to Eva. And it probably would be a good idea for Nene, you know, because that's who she probably would be most receptive to hearing this information from. So there's that. Nene and Greg talk. Basically, he apologized that he's not trying to be mean. He said, but look, this is all new for me too. You know, this is a lot for me, and I don't mean to take it out on you, but, you know, I don't even know who I am. And he did let her know that he was reconsidering the chemo. He said, you know, I made a vow that this wasn't something that I wanted to do. He said, but I've been praying on it, and I'm thinking that maybe I might need to revisit that. He said, I just want to talk to somebody about it. And she said that that's a good idea, that she thinks that, you know, he should, you know, get all the information and get all the facts. So I think that might help because he's been trying to do it his way. So I think that might help with some of just their anxiety and things going on with them. But he did apologize. She said, you know, I really don't want to walk away from my marriage. I love you, and I don't want it to be a problem. But, you know, she just said you know, she's not going to be miserable. She's not going to let him talk to her any other kind of way and just be talking to her crazy. So that's how that went down. Because, you know, we almost at the season finale, so stuff is tying up, right? Kandi and Todd have decided to move forward with the surrogate. And they sort of have like a little family meeting. And Riley is just not happy. Riley is against it. And I think Riley is coming, because she had said something earlier in the season when they were talking about the surrogacy and how they weren't ready for Ace. And they, you know, why have a child if you're not going to be hands-on and things of that nature. And I think that Riley might be comparing maybe some things that happened with her childhood with what's going on with them now. When Kandi had Riley, she wasn't her own boss. She was a member of a group, and she basically had to work to keep the lights cut on, you know. Whereas now, she's in a much better place financially, and she is her own boss. Like, she decides her schedule for the most part. I mean, we all know there's certain things beyond our control. And that's what she was trying to explain to Riley. Like, look, we made it work with Ace. And she was like, well, look at him. She was like, Ace is happy. You know, and we'll make it work with a new baby. She said, but, you know, and her mom, you know, spoke on, you know, wanting to have, you know, wish she had more children and, Todd saying how he was the only child, and that's just not, he doesn't want that, that situation of, oh, excuse me, for him. Sorry. And, Riley wasn't happy about it, but in the end, she was like, fine, whatever, y'all do what y'all gotta do, because she was like, I think this should be a group decision, and they were like, no, it really isn't. Like, we telling y'all as a courtesy, we're not asking, but again, I feel like Riley might be comparing, because Kandi may have been a lot more absentee when Riley was younger. Again, like I said, her lifestyle was just different. Her situation was just different. And yeah, Kandi's a working mom. There are going to be times when she's not going to be there, but that's in any situation. Hers is a little more extreme because she'll be out of town or maybe away for days at a time. But working mothers have to sacrifice, and they can't be there for everything, unfortunately. So there was that. Eva and Kandi hook up, and Eva just getting back from her honeymoon, and she's telling Kandi about all the drama that went down at her wedding. She said, the day of my wedding, I was oblivious to it, but now that I'm back, I'm getting all these stories and finding out everything that's going on. And come to find out, Shanita, who we had seen Shanita a few times on the show. Shanita got into it with the wedding planner, honey, and assaulted the wedding planner. Now, we met the wedding planner as well, but Shanita, physically assaulted the wedding planner. And then Eva said, Shanita was snapping at her and stuff like she did something wrong. So Eva's acting like she doesn't really know what happened or how the situation with that. And I don't know whether she did or not. But this is the story she's conveying to Kandi. And then she said, they're moving. She said that basically they're moving from the rental they're in now to another rental because they're getting ready for a house. Michael wants a turnkey house, which basically means the day they buy it, they can move in. Her thing is, let's spend a little bit less money and let's get let's get something that might need to be renovated, but we have more land that we can live on. Now, they're moving back into the city, so they ain't going to give us so much land anyway. I mean, compared to us out in the country, But Kandi was like, that don't make sense. She was like, why would you move from one rental to another rental? Like, if you're going to buy a house, just stay where you are until you're ready to buy. She was like, okay, that don't make no sense, but okay. And she was just talking to Eva like, well, why, trying to talk her into a different decision. And Eva was explaining that she has had situations with the the father of Marley, which we know is Kevin McCall. He was an actor, I believe. And we know that their situation got domestic and she's had a restraining order. And a lot of things went down with that relationship. And she said, we move around because, the restraining order is up and he always seems to find me. And so we move around. There's, legitimate security concerns where it comes to him and my daughter and my family. So she was like, that's part of it. So Kandi was just kind of like, okay. Yeah, but y'all know how Kandi is. Kandi be giving the side eye like, all right, but okay. So Kandi's having a soft opening for the new location of OLG. And she invited everybody to come out. And so we're getting ready for the soft opening for a restaurant is always just sort of a preview. You invite friends and family or the press, depending on how close you are to opening. And you preview the menu and, that kind of thing. And the press gets a chance to write it up, give you you want a favorable review. And you have friends and family there, so if they fuck it up, or something doesn't go right, it's people that are friendly. So we see the soft opening and everybody comes through and Tanya's there, and when Eva shows up, Tanya's like, look, I need to talk to you. Now, I'm sort of split on this whole conversation because on one hand, I was like, Tanya's being a good friend. Because Tanya's thing is, I got this gossip, I'm just sitting on it, I know you just got back from at this point, she had probably been back from her honeymoon long enough for Tanya to have called her on the phone, but okay. But it was long enough for Tanya and Nene to have called her on the phone, but okay. And Tanya takes her outside, but the flip side is they did decide that Nene would be the one to talk to Eva. And Tanya, you sort of jumped the gun. However, I think Tanya's mindset was, I don't want you sitting here and having people smiling in your face all night, but they've been talking about, but this is out there. Like, I want you to have all of the ammunition and know, and be forewarned and know what's being said and what's going on. I really think that's where that came from. So, Tanya takes her outside to go talk to her. And she basically tells her And, you know, Eva was just like, I'm not doing this. I'm done. She was like, I appreciate you telling me. I'm not mad at you or anything, but I'm not getting ready to do this with these ladies tonight. And Eva gets her purse and she leaves. Just as Nene is showing up and Marlo was showing up. So Tanya tells them that she said what she had to say. And Nene was like, well, why would you do that? Because we agreed that I would be the one to talk to Eva. Like, I knew she would be upset, and I could have talked to her differently that maybe it wouldn't have set her off. She was like, but now you done got Eva all mad, and she done ran off. So Nene calls Eva on the phone to try to talk to her to get her to come back. In the meantime, Marlo was at the table holding court, telling them everything that was said, and then Marlo adding to it, talking about some, yeah, and this friend said that, you know, in LA, she's a full-blown lesbian with girlfriends and everything. And, I mean, just adding more to it that really wasn't even necessary. Well, none of it was necessary, but certainly you ain't got to add all that, especially if the woman is married now. Clearly, she made her decision, you know? Nene is able to get her to come back. Now, she told Nene, I'll talk to you without cameras and without mics. And Nene had a mic and a camera, honey. She said, she gonna kill me. Yeah, she gonna kill you, you know, but the camera stayed away that they weren't in their face, and you could hear the conversation. And basically, Nene was telling her, like, girl, first of all, don't run off. You stay there and you tell your story, because if not, then you're allowing somebody else to create your story and to spin your truth. She was like, you, and Michael was saying the same thing. He said, that's what I told her. I told her, you go back in there and you say what you need to say to these women. Don't let them dictate this story. She said, you know, and also, you know, and Eva was like, I don't care what these women think about me. She was like, I really don't. She said, you know, we move around. We have things under different names for safety issues. You know, like, that's really what our life is. You know, it's a legit safety issue with us. And, you know, it's really nobody else's business why we do what we do. Now, she didn't address none of that other stuff, but she did address that. So they talk her into coming back in. So Eva comes back in, and Eva said, look, let's just go on and address the elephant in the room. And Eva goes on to talk about the whole safety issue again, and her, you know, Marley's father. And, you know, she said, when I got back from my wedding, I realized that, she said, I know exactly who was telling my business. She said, it's Shanita, the same one. She said, I saw her true colors with the whole wedding. I didn't know. You know, I really didn't know who she, you know, I had never seen this side of her before, but then I saw her true colors with the whole wedding situation, and I know this is her running around town taking bits and pieces of things she knows about me and adding to it and exaggerating it. She said, you know, she said, but I don't really care what y'all think about me, but I don't, you know, but y'all not going to, you know, basically tell my story for me. And while she talking, Marlo whispering to Kandi, talking about something, she lying, you know she lying. And Marlo in her confessional talking about, girl, please, you post on Instagram everywhere you gonna be. You at events and stuff. You ain't really worried about him. You know, he ain't checking for you like that. All that, this a lie. This a lie, you know. And I think it's exactly what Eva said. That this friend has bits and pieces of her truth and is exaggerating or adding to it. I do. I think there are parts of what she's saying is valid and true. And parts of what she's saying is, I'm mad and I'm in my feelings and I want... Because why would you call Marlo Hampton? Like, of all people, just because you want Eva to be hurt and you want it to get back to Eva. Like, that's it. That's all I got, you know? But that is pretty much where the episode ended, with, you know, Eva sort of giving her side of the story and telling her side. Like I said, she still didn't address. Now, I feel like she addressed the whole wedding situation in her confessional. Like, at no point did she say she was rich or anything, and she said that she went over budgeted. She said that she had to go out here and, you know, do some things, go get some gigs in to finish paying off the wedding, but that she doesn't owe anybody anything, you know. Again, I said this before, I think people had a misconception that you see somebody on TV, that means they're a multimillionaire. No, it doesn't. It might mean that they're comfortable and that they can spend money a little differently than you can spend your money, but it does not mean that the person is just 100%, you know, balling like that. You know, they give this idea that that's what it's like, you know, but that ain't really what it is. So anyway, that's pretty much how the episode went down. We have one more episode left next week before the reunion. So, you know, all this stuff been leaking out about the reunion. So we're gonna see how it goes down. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.